Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. The morning of July 17th woke Olesya not with an alarm clock ringing, but with the annoying rays of the sun penetrating through the open curtains. I could have stayed down for a while, but I had to get ready for work, and I really didn't want to do it in a hurry. Without getting dressed and remaining naked, Olesya went to the kitchen, where she made herself coffee. Yes, it was with him that her morning began. Then there was a bathroom, a phone, a collection, and the first thing was coffee. At 35, she was still single, living in a rented apartment, but none of this bothered her much. 5 years ago, when all her friends were already mothers, she was not comfortable in their company. Because her interests were completely different, she was not pleased to answer questions about her personal life, which, frankly, did not exist. There was love, but there was no love life. And although she had quite a few fans, she was never able to get married. Always, when it came to this, another fan broke off relations with her, of all of them. Only one honestly said that they marry simpletons so as not to worry that while the husband is not around, someone else uses the wife. A little later, she herself realized that beautiful girls are always something cherished for men, but unattainable. Moreover, they think according to a simple scheme. She is beautiful, so there are a lot of gentlemen. So she is used to gifts, so she is expensive, so I cannot afford it. And it never occurred to anyone that it wasn't that she wasn't accustomed to expensive gifts, she only saw them on her birthday. But this morning, all these thoughts were sleeping a long sleep in her head. The mood was kind of playful and cheerful, as if waiting for something cherished. After opening the door of their kitchen to the balcony, Olesya, still naked, went out onto the balcony. She knew perfectly well that a neighbor was standing a couple of balconies away from her, smoking another cigarette. Should I cheer you up? Olesya thought. The phone rang at the very moment when I least wanted it. Leska. Tatiana's voice sounded excited. Where are you? I'm standing in traffic. Olesya immediately lied. Come on quickly. The contracts have been returned here. We need to redo them today. In general, there was no time to continue. I did not want to wear a bodice in the heat, and it does not look good with an open-shouldered sundress. The app signaled that a taxi had arrived at her entrance. She looked at the phone screen. Alexander. It's funny, but such a common name among taxi drivers was rare. If Magomed, Rashid, or Abasbek had arrived, she would not have noticed. The taxi driver really turned out to be a Slav, a young, handsome guy. So Olesya decided to sit in the front seat. She was amused by Alexander's sidelong glances at her, his attempts to start a conversation and his inability to support him. And when they got to the office, Alexander plucked up the courage and asked for her phone. Why do you need it? Olesya asked in a cheerful voice. I liked you. You are very beautiful. A blush appeared on Sasha's cheeks. And when did you like me? She asked with a smile. While we were driving. Hey, and did you have time to consider it? I managed to do it. Sasha nodded. And what color are my eyes? Olesya asked and immediately turned her head away. This question baffled Sasha. Olesya laughed out loud. Apparently you couldn't see above the chest yet, he said through laughter, seeing how redder the taxi driver was. She took his phone and dialed her number, making a missed call. How is she? Did you like it? She asked jokingly. Who? Sasha did not understand. My chest. Well, as far as I can see, yes, it's cool. I would say gorgeous. No, seriously, it's very inviting. Olesya laughed. These words were said somehow so naively and honestly that they were pleasant. And this is just the tip of the iceberg hidden under the sundress. Olesya laughed again. Oh, Sasha showed emotion. I wish I was the Titanic to meet this iceberg. Aren't you afraid to repeat the fate of the Titanic? Olesya liked this naive tackle. I'm a good lookout. I would have seen it and given the signal not to fight. Honk, or you'll crash, she said with a laugh. Sasha pressed the signal, not taking his eyes off the huge, full breasts of his passenger. Someone turned at the sound. Olesya, still laughing, pulled on her sundress and got out of the taxi. Naturally, then the correspondence, communication began, and there was even a coffee together. I'm still impressed by Titanic. A message came from Sasha. Yes? I thought I'd forgotten. How can you forget that? Well, I don't know. Maybe I would like to see. Don't talk nonsense. In general, I was so delighted that you were without a bra. Sasha did not let up in the messages. He picked her up after work, already standing at the entrance. By hook or by crook, he wanted to invite himself to visit, but the untidy apartment did not allow Olesya to invite him. The relationship began and developed very quickly. Sasha introduced her to her parents. She took him to visit her own. Everything was going fast and fast. Well, you're crazy. Be patient until you get home. Olesya whispered in Sasha's ear. Now the parents will come, and then what? They won't come for another hour. Want you? Yes, it's inconvenient. Be patient. Sasha was sitting, and Olesya, standing with her feet on the armrests, sat down on him. The old chair creaked, but it held. Turn your back to me. I want you from a different angle. Olesya turned around, leaning back, and the chair creaked again. They did not hear the door open and Sasha's father entered the room. Naturally, that was quite a picture that presented itself to his gaze. Oh! Olska screamed and immediately tried to cover herself. They were sitting on the couch at home. It turned out to be inconvenient. I told you to be patient. Olesya blushed, remembering the situation. Well, yes, it happens that there is nothing to do. It is necessary to knock it all. Sasha stood up. You never know what I can do with my wife there. That's how their family life began. The mother-in-law was not particularly happy with the daughter-in-law, who was 11 years older than her son, but the father-in-law was not against it and sometimes even supported the young family with money, especially after they stayed overnight with their parents. Olska noticed that he sometimes looked at her forms with pleasure, but she did not, and even dabbled. After all, it is true that all families are happy in the same way, but unhappy in their own way. And so it turned out. The first 5 years were calm and stable, then Sasha's attitude gradually began to change. It even seemed to Olesya that he was embarrassed to go out with her, especially since the age difference was already visible. Somehow their interests were divided. Sometimes there was not even anything to talk about, except to discuss family matters. He worked more, paid less attention to her. Love has become less frequent, somehow more mechanical, without emotion. They hardly even wrote messages to each other. Olesya tried to talk to her husband about it, but he said that everything was fine and he was just getting tired. December is the time for New Year's corporate parties. Sasha's phone has already rung several times. He turned off the sound. The music was coming into the room. It was loud, but not deafening. Don't you want to answer? The brunette sitting on his lap was talking in his ear. Nope. Sasha's hand had already made its way under her shirt. What gentle hands you have. I'm really excited. Yes? He also spoke in my ear. He came home late. Why didn't you answer? Olesya was awake, sitting in the kitchen in the dark. The music is loud, drinking. And then I didn't call. I thought you were already asleep. And in February, the same brunette, whose name was Vlada, came to work for Olesya and said that she and Sasha had a relationship. Of course, there was a conversation at home, but without noise, so that the son would not know anything. A conversation late at night in the bedroom, when Olesya had already cried out all the tears of resentment and could now speak. Sasha did not deny anything. The whole situation was banal and unpleasant, and the worst thing was that they lived in an apartment that they took out a mortgage, plus loans. It turned out that the divorce led to the fact that you need to sell an apartment, then live in rented housing, pay alimony, live on these alimony, and also explain everything to your son and relatives. Adults solve problems in an adult way. They decided not to destroy the family. Officially, they lived together, but Sasha increasingly stayed to sleep in another room, where he worked on a laptop. Love became even less frequent, and his salary also did not want to grow. Olesya understood that Sasha had not abandoned Vlad, and part of the salary went to her. Sad as it was, money addiction forced them to live under the same roof. Olesya had to change jobs so that loans would not be so burdensome. Ols, what am I supposed to understand here? The head of the department was sitting at the table. They believed the paper in his hands. You asked me to sketch it in multiples, so I sketched it. Olesya was standing next to me. Well, that's clear to you. But it should be to me. Well, I can't redo it now. There are a lot of my own things. Olesya spoke in a calm voice. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be called to the carpet. Do it today. Yeah, it's urgent to do it. but as a bonus, I'm past it. I will correct this misunderstanding. The boss ran his hand over the leg. Olesya standing next to him. How fast? She didn't resist. I'll give the order today. His hand was already sliding over the inside of her thigh. And what is the amount? Olesya squeezed her hips. Well, we need to estimate the amount of work. I think 25% of the salary. I think it's 30. Olesya slightly moved her leg to make it more comfortable. I agree. Now the bonus was every month, not always on the card, sometimes in cash from the boss. She wasn't ashamed of it. After all, love is just as much a service as a massage. Everything is paid for, and free love is just a hobby. And so, having met her 45th birthday, she counted the years when the mortgage would end and she would start a new life. I'll take the documents for signature. Should I take yours? Dashka looked at her expectantly. Yeah, take it. Olesya handed over several sheets. Dashka left, and Olesya took the phone, looking through the marketplaces. Moving the documents, she saw another order that she had forgotten to give to Dashka. Taking it, she went to the boss herself. She stopped at the door and listened. There were noises, but no sounds. And a month later, she had the honorable duty to travel to Volgograd and take inventory of the closing branch of the company. Strangely, she did not want to leave the house, although separated by an invisible wall, but still at home. Her son was here, her life, the comfort of her bedroom. She pulled herself together, gave Tisusin, and went to Volgograd for 3 long days. Fortunately, of all the drivers, she came across a cheerful and adequate guy named Denis. No, he was not a foreigner. He was a Turkmen, even though he had such a strange name. A good guy, hardworking, always ready to help and not discouraged. So the day passed quickly with him. Olesya checked inventory numbers, and Denis ran around dictating them. In the evening, in her room, Olesya suffered from the fact that her back and neck were numb, so much so that tears rolled into her eyes. Denis, she called his phone. Can you go get some painkillers? And what happened, Elysia Evgenievna? My neck and back are very stiff. It hurts already. Denis came to her room. Let me relax your muscles now. Denis spoke very sincerely. Don't worry, I'm a medic by training. And he showed a photo of his diploma on his phone. Then why are you working here? Could you work as a chiropractor? I can't. I have Turkmen citizenship. I don't have a work permit. My visa is running out anyway, so I'll go home in a month, and I'll work there. His words were not at odds with the case. Olesya was sitting with only her blouse off. She was not shy to be with him in a bra. There was no embarrassment because of the pain. Denis turned out to be a really smart doctor, and the next morning Olesya did not have any pain. Can I unbutton it? His voice brought Olesya out of her thoughts. She did not even immediately understand what exactly to unbutton, but quickly realized what was being discussed. Yes, you can. The clasp on her bra slipped to her sides. Denis's hands were already sliding down her sides. You have such beautiful breasts. These words made Olesya's cheeks turn red. She rolled over on her back and looked at Denis, who wasn't shy at all. Can I take it off? He didn't take his eyes away. You can. You have amazing breasts, so gentle and responsive to affection. I envy your husband. Take the hand cream in my bag. Olesya asked. The phone in her hand vibrated, notifying her that the next mortgage payment had been written off. There was still a year left. A year, and then you can tear down this invisible wall, make a decision about who and where will live, how to build your life. She no longer wanted to restore the relationship. She was ready to live on her own, just not in this humiliating situation. Knowing that her husband has a mistress, yes, there is a mistress, even the products in the refrigerator are different. Yes, she was waiting for this moment, waiting for this bondage to end. How are you? What are you doing? A message has arrived from Denis's Turkmen WhatsApp.